Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience with the Tactacam Reveal X-Pro trail camera. I've used this camera here in the northwestern region of North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains over the course of 4 months. And I just want to talk a little bit about my experience with it and the pros and cons and if I would buy another one of these. So let's cue the music and we'll get on with it. The reason why I decided to finally get my first cellular trail camera after all of these years is because, you know, I can't resist the urge to go out in the woods and check my camera. And I know when you're hunting, you know, trying to get those bucks, you want to stay out of the woods as much as possible, especially when you're getting close to the rut. So after tons and tons of research, I decided to go with this particular brand, the Tactacam, because, you know, every single cellular camera that you look up, you get good reviews and you get bad reviews. And it was just a matter of feeling like maybe this one was probably the best option for me. This is technically not the latest model. It's the model, I think it's the model just behind the most latest model out there, and it was significantly cheaper. And I wasn't entirely sure that a cellular camera was even going to work where I hunt on my property, because cellular phones just don't seem to work that great out there. And I didn't want to spend a ton of money and find out that the camera couldn't get a signal. Well, to my pleasant surprise, it did actually get a really, really strong signal, actually. So that was good. I went with Verizon. That seems to be the best service that I have out here, and it really had the features that I wanted. I didn't need any of the features with the newest model. It just wasn't worth the price for me. What I initially liked about it was the setup was really easy. Like I said, it had all the features that I was looking for. I ended up going with the unlimited plan, which turned out to be not quite as cool as I was thinking it was going to be. The battery life seemed to be pretty good. I did have everything set to lower quality than I would like so that I could extend the battery life, because it did require 12 batteries, which is the most I've ever needed for a trail camera. Most of them are like 8 batteries, AA's. So really for the first couple of months that I had it, I purchased it in July, at the very end of July, had it set up at the very beginning of August. And the first 2.5 months, I would say, it worked flawlessly. I was getting pictures transmitted to me. I thought it was, you know, really cool. You know, I was so used to always having to go out and check my camera once every couple of weeks. Now I was able to get photos transmitted to me, and I did it twice a day. I had it set so that it would send some to me like first thing in the morning and then like middle of the afternoon. Again, I did that, you know, to save on some battery power. So after, for my first couple of months of it working pretty well, then the disappointment started to show up. So it got to the point after about 2.5 months that I was starting to get some pictures of some nice bucks. And I wanted to get better pictures than what was being transmitted to me. The transmissions that are pretty low quality, and then a lot of conditions, you know, different times of the day, the trees casting shadows and stuff. I'd get pictures of deer, and I couldn't tell sometimes if they were bucks or does, and they were pretty close to the camera. There was a lot of distortion in the pictures, so I wanted to download a higher quality version. Well, that's when I discovered that that's not part of your plan. You actually have to pay extra money, which I believe is like $5 per 50 downloads, to get the higher quality photos and videos, which I wasn't too thrilled about that, but, you know, $5 for 50, you know, I guess it's not that big of a deal. But again, it's not what I expected. I thought that was included in the unlimited plan. I also noticed that I was getting a lot of pictures and videos where deer had clearly walked right in front of the camera. I mean, just, 5-10 feet away from the camera, but it didn't take a picture or a photo until its backside was walking out of the frame already. And that happened more often than I would have liked. I mean, it's happened on all of my trail cameras, but was a bit disappointed that it was happening on this one as often as it was. Then the biggest disappointment. About 3 months after I began using the camera, and this was right during pre-rut time when I was starting to get, more bucks showing up on camera. And the time that I really, really want my camera to be taking pictures and videos. And this was around mid-October, later October, going into November. And where I hunt, that's when the bucks start showing up. The rest of the year, after mid-December usually, they're gone. And they don't come back until nearly November. And I couldn't explain what was going on. I was using the SanDisk Ultra memory card, the 32 gigabyte card, and, like I said, it was working just fine. Even though after doing some more research, once I had this problem, I discovered that they recommended a higher quality card, like the SanDisk Extreme Pro, but that didn't solve the problem. It still would not transmit photos. I did everything that I could possibly imagine. I, took the batteries out. I reset everything. No matter what I did, it just would not transmit anymore. Even though the camera was saying that I had a very good cellular connection. It was like full bars. There was just no rhyme or reason to why it stopped and wouldn't ever do it again. So I ended up reaching out to customer support, and it took them about a week initially to respond to me, which I was really frustrated about, but they kind of redeemed themselves there, because after that initial communication from them, then whenever I had additional follow-up questions, they were pretty much right on top of it, and sometimes within a matter of minutes I would get a response. And the customer service rep that I was working with, she was very helpful and very, willing to do whatever, as far as hey, she'll be there on the weekend, let me know if you try this and that and how it works. And so I appreciated that. These cameras have their issues, and I'm not going to blame I'm not going to get testy with the customer support reps, because they're not the ones that actually make the things. So prior to actually contacting support, usually I'm the kind of guy that likes to try to figure things out myself before I get anybody else involved. And I did some more Googling on the specific issue that I was dealing with, and it was clear that a lot of other people have been dealing with this exact same issue, but I could never find any posts that explained how to resolve the issue. It seemed like everybody was just left hanging. Either that, or they fixed it, they figured out what it was, and then they just never came back to let everybody else know how to fix it. So yeah, despite the fact that that pictures would not transmit, I could still communicate with the camera, and I could get information about it. One of the things that I failed to mention is that the battery indicator is pretty poor. I actually had instances where I had just been out at the site that particular afternoon. The battery life was saying that it was pretty full. I'd get home later that evening and I'd get an alert saying that my battery life was down to 20%, which I thought was really unusual. And then the next day I'd get an alert saying my battery was at 30%. And then the day after that, I got an alert saying that my battery was at 40%. So I don't know what was going on with that, but I have heard others state that the battery indicator is not accurate over the cellular connection. So after having various correspondence with tech support, probably about 3 back and forths, my support tech having me try different things, what ultimately ended up solving my problem was I was told to set the send mode to timely and power down, pull out the battery pack, put the battery pack back in, turn it, power it back up, and see how that works. And that actually worked. The frustrating thing is I don't know why these type of potential solutions to this problem aren't available on their website. It seems like it would save them a lot of trouble if they just posted all the different things that someone can try if they're dealing with this issue, since this seems to be a pretty common issue. I don't know why you have to go through tech support to get this information. Just post it on your website, for crying out loud. So, overall, I was fairly happy with the camera up until that point. I did end up using it all the way through December, up until January 1st, and then I pulled the camera. I was dealing with these issues, transmission issues, up until mid-November, right during the best time for buck movement in my area. So yeah, I'm not thrilled with the quality of the images and photos, although I did have to reduce the quality to save battery life. The batteries did get eaten up pretty quickly, even though I had my settings to low. The original reason why I didn't have my camera set to timely transmission is because I didn't want a picture being sent to me every single time a picture was taken, because that's obviously going to take more juice out of your batteries. But I ended up having to deal with that because that was the only way I could get pictures sent to me. So would I buy another one of these? Probably not. Who knows? Their newer model may have improved on some of these issues. And if this issue is very common, I don't know why they would continue selling these cameras. Because to me, it's just going to frustrate customers that maybe are buying this one for the first time and having the kind of experiences that I had. And if their newer camera is better and doesn't have these issues, they'd be better off just not selling the old ones anymore. That's one of the reasons why I felt like I was safe to buy it, because hey, they're still selling it, so it must work pretty good. Unfortunately, I didn't come across a lot of these negative reviews, or not even necessarily reviews, but all these tech issues that people were posting in online forums until after I had already purchased the camera. One of the issues that I have with a lot of these other YouTube channels that are reviewing cameras is a vast majority of them are just after they've taken the camera out of the box, and it's only been used in the field for testing, maybe for a couple of days or whatever. If I had done something like that, I would have given this camera rave reviews, because it was working like a charm for, like I said, 2.5 months. And then after that, it was all downhill from there. But it is nice having a cellular camera. So I think what I'm probably going to do is, if I do end up getting another cellular camera, I'm going to try a different brand. There were pros and cons to Tactacam. Like I said, their tech support was great. So those are my thoughts on this particular camera. Some of you out there may have this camera or haven't gotten it yet and still want it, and you may have much better luck than I did. It was, like I said, it was a great camera for the first couple of months, and then after that, I was just like, I'm so frustrated that I bought this thing, and I feel it's hard for me to say that, because I really don't like to be super critical about any products, especially with as good as their tech support was. I don't really like bashing a product, but these are my honest feelings on this particular product, and maybe I just got a lemon, but who knows? Well, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.